Ash Ketchum has made it to the peak of competitive play in the Pokemon world, and to get there he has had to lean on the shoulders of giants and the shoulders of funny fish. So let's talk about what may be the best Ash Ketchum team ever assembled. Hey Charles, it's everyone, how are you today? The man from Pallet Town, no, not that one, or that one, got off to a rocky start back in 1997, but as of the World Coronation Series Masters 8 tournament, he now ranks among the greatest trainers the Pokemon franchise has ever known. Most recently trouncing number 3 in the world, Steven Stone, number 2 in the world, Cynthia, One-sama, and of course, the world's very best, Leon, the former WCS Monarch. To establish himself, Ash Ketchum, as the world champion after 25 years of adventuring. And he's gotten this far not with a team of seasoned vets, as many may have hoped, but with, Pikachu aside, a team of rookies trained up from scratch. Indeed, as in most anime seasons of the past, Ash competed in the series end tournament of Pokemon Journeys with a squad of upstarts. But how exactly did such a fresh roster take Ash Ketchum to the biggest victory of his career? Today's plan is to 1. Discuss the individual team members on their own merits, and 2. Dig into the big picture from team composition to movesets to overall team achievements. And as always, it's going to be a good time, so kindly subscribe to edge us just a little bit closer to that big 100. And before we get going, let's take a quick gander at the latest 3D space I put together with the sponsor of today's video, Yahaha. Yahaha is a brand new user-generated content platform that lets anyone create and share their own interactive 3D multiplayer experiences online, all without any coding experience or server knowledge whatsoever, thanks to Yahaha Studio's enormous library of templates, game components, and smart assets. Last time we talked about Yahaha, I showed you my private charusharu nightclub, but today we have something a little bit different. A chill hangout space in which I can unwind after a tough day at work. And all I had to do to get this together was to pick a cool template, then drag, drop, and tweak assets from Yahaha's massive library to get things looking and running how I wanted. I also added in a behavior component that allows me to possess this fine animal just in case, you know, I want to win a game of hide and seek, or simply roleplay as a large, majestic animal. Anyways, transforming creative ideas into fun, virtual games and publishing them online to enjoy with both old friends and new friends in the Yahaha universe is a ton of fun, so be sure to click the link in the description to start making your dream games for free with Yahaha. Thanks to Yahaha for sponsoring this video, and with that said, have fun creating, sharing, and playing, and let's venture on to today's chat. Ash first caught Surfetched as a Galarian Farfetch'd back in episode 27, and while it started off its run as a bit of a jobber, it was always thirsty to better itself, and after evolving into Surfetched, it quickly established itself as one of Team Ketchum's heavy hitters. Surfetched is a striker with a variety of techniques at its disposal, the most notable of which being its signature Meteor Assault attack, which it mastered alongside Dracovish in a training session conducted by Ash's longtime friend Clement prior to Ash's hyperclass battle with Kalos Elite 4 member Drasna. Shirtless Donald's biggest achievements include defeating Rinto's Gallade on its maiden voyage as a Surfetched, eliminating Drasna's Mega Altaria, and laying down crucial damage on Cynthia's Garchomp that allowed Lucario to squeak out the win that would push Ash into the finals of the World Coronation Series Masters 8 tournament. Surfetched is sometimes considered to be one of the weaker links in Ash's team, but it is a force to be reckoned with nevertheless. Oh, Dracovish, aka Mr. Fish. Ever since Dracovish was resurrected from its centuries-long fossilization, it's been a fan favorite, as not only is it quite simply a funny fish, but you simply never know what it is going to do in battle, from eating things, sometimes Ash, to reinventing Goku's Kaioken transformation such that it manifested creepy mystery spikes from Mr. Fish's stomach in the finals. And its unconventional tactics racked up W after V for Team Ketchum over the course of the WCS. My favorite Dracovish moment was when it combined its strong jaw ability with Ice Fang to stop Iris's Dragonite in its tracks, but that is only the tip of the Ice Fang Berg, with many other great deeds done, such as blowing out Drasna's Noivern in the Hyper class and defeating Cynthia's Roserade in the Masters 8 semifinals, not to mention pressing Game Over on Leon's Rillaboom in the finals. Dracovish isn't the most consistent player on Ash's team, but that's the point, because it is Ash's wildcard. We love you, Mr. Fish. Dragonite. When Ash caught Dragonite back in episode 10 of Pokemon Journeys, it set the internet on fire, and for good reason, as Ash had nabbed a pseudo-legendary Pokemon out the gates, and everyone knew that Hugonite was destined to make a splash. And it has made quite the splash indeed, largely on account of brute force and a strong chin, but also with the help of smooth moves like Draco Meteor, and its improvised Dragonite Meteor attack that have put opponents to the test time and time again. And speaking of putting people to the test, Dragonite pretty well sat Ash's examination combinations for him over the first half of Pokemon Journeys, carrying the team against opponents like Corina and Iris prior to a rough spell which it eventually did emerge from with a big win over Leon's Dragapult in the finals. A lot of fans have drawn parallels between Ash's Dragonite and Ash's pseudo-legendary dragon of XY, Goodra, but the difference is that Dragonite actually delivered when it counted. Gengar began its run as the court jester of Pokemon Journeys, but powered up significantly once it mastered the Gigantamax transformation with a little bit of help from Alistair, going on to add valuable techniques like Dazzling Gleam and Will-O-Wisp to its moveset on the road to the Masters 8. Some of Gengar's greatest moments include blowing out Marnie's Grimmsnarl, dropping Raihan's Flygon and then taking his Goodra to a draw, and stopping Leon's Inteleon in its tracks in the Masters Tournament final. Gengar is a quick and nimble hitter who can inflict status conditions, and probably one of the funniest Pokemon Ash has ever had on his team to boot, so I hope he doesn't release it. If there was ever a Pokemon that fans wanted Ash to add to the roster, it was without a doubt Lucario. And sure enough, soon after hatching from an egg, Ash's Riolu turned Lucario would go on to become an invaluable ally. Not to mention that the show's writers have gifted it with an array of tropey and awesome anime powers, including Mega Evolution capability, an Ash Greninja-like Aura Bond ability, and even a wacky supersized Aura Sphere known as the G-Max Aura Sphere to top things off. So unsurprisingly, Lucario is a staple of Ash's Pokemon Journeys roster, and just to name a few of its big achievements, as the last pocket monster standing in 3 key WCS battles, it crushed B's Gigantamaxed Machamp and Raihan's G-Maxed Duraludon, and put the nail in the coffin of Cynthia's seemingly undefeatable ace, Garchomp. Based on its achievements alone, Lucario could very well be Ash's strongest seasonal ace of all time, but what do you think? Lastly, we have Pikachu. Pikachu is the whirring core of every single Ash Ketchum team on account of its buddy bond with Ash, its plethora of improv techniques, Z-moves, and too many achievements to even list. But to list just a few of those achievements anyways, winning the Orange League, winning the Battle Frontier, winning the post-Alola League exhibition match against Tapu Koko, beating Steven Stone's shiny Mega Metagross in the Masters 8 opener, and, oh yeah, defeating Leon's Charizard to make Ash the champion of the world. Pikachu is Pikachu, that's all that needs to be said. It's no secret that every member of Ash's Journey squad is a gem, but when considering how the team stacks up against Ash's past league teams, it's useful to consider the team's composition, movesets, and overall achievements as a team. So let's do exactly that. People will pick on Ash for doubling or even tripling down on typings with his teams, and sure enough, his Journey squad doesn't buck the trend with 2 dragon types and 2 fighting types. However, Dragonite and Dracovish are both dual types who only share weaknesses to dragon and fairy types and are otherwise quite distinct. And even more distinct are Lucario and Surfetched, with Lucario's steel attribute differentiating the typing math such that the 2 fighters do not share a single weakness, only a set of useful resistances. And as a bonus, Lucario is immune to poison type attacks. In fact, the team's only glaring weakness is its vulnerability to fairy and ground types, although these chinks in the armor are somewhat hedged by Dragonite's invulnerability to ground type moves and Gengar's resistance to fairy type attacks. And all in all, Ashy Boy seems happy to stomach 2 unfavorable matchups in exchange for a wide breadth of neutral or favorable matchups, and that seems pretty reasonable to me. Any hoot-hoots, I ran the team through Maryland's Pokemon Team Builder to generate an insightful visual of the team, so take a look and let me know what you think of the coverage. If there's one thing that Ash Ketchum teams have in common other than Yellow Mickey and the power of friendship, it's movesets that would give any competitive player a bad case of the cramps. And while anime logic is a departure from game logic in many ways, well, actually, Ashy Boy's Journeys movesets aren't exactly masterful, but they are not the worst by any means. Pikachu's moveset, although it could do with some tweaks, has become pretty iconic at this point, and the moves can also be combined into improvised techniques that catch opponents off guard, like Tail Buffer and Counter Shield, not to mention the Insanity Thunderbolt that capped off the Ash vs Leon battle, so there is more to the mouse's moves than meets the eye. And much like Pikachu, Dragonite's moveset is questionable from the game logic standpoint, but hides concealed depth that Ash puts to work in the anime. For instance, while Dragon Dance is perfect for powering up Dragon Claw, it does nothing to beef up Hurricane or Draco Meteor. But with regard to Draco Meteor, Ash has bent it like Beckham to create an additional improvised attack dubbed Dragonite Meteor, a move with which Dragonite charges opponents while shielded by its own Draco Meteor projectiles. Double the defense, double the dynamite. And likewise, Ash's Dragonite uses Hurricane as both an offensive and a defensive technique. So Dragonite's moveset does not look great on paper, but Ash manages to work miracles with it nevertheless. As for Gengar, Gengar's moveset is actually quite good even by competitive game standards. Shadow Ball and Sludge Bomb leverage stab, Dazzling Gleam gives Gengar good coverage, and Big Purple even has access to 2 moves that inflict status conditions with Will-O-Wisp and the aforementioned Sludge Bomb. Pretty solid. As for Lucario, its moveset is focused on speed and evasion, with both fighting and steel type attacking options, as well as reversal in the back pocket to turn the tides of a battle gone wrong. And it's worth noting again that Aura Sphere can be powered up into G-Max Aura Sphere by Ash and Lucario's Aura Bond to close down matches. Regarding the other fighting type, Surfetched's moveset is not all that nuanced, but enables it to hit a number of key weaknesses. Detect is thrown in for evasion, and Meteor Assault is the signature game ender. And lastly, Dracovish is equipped with Vicious Rend and Ice Fang, both of which are strengthened by its Strong Jaw ability, and it's also brandishing Dragon Rush as well as Water Gun, a totally anime move choice that seems to be working well enough for Ash, though one has to think it will be better replaced with something like Psychic Fangs or even Hydro Pump. On the whole, the Journey Squad's movesets aren't exactly dazzling, but the anime world is not the game world, and stacked up against the movesets of past Ketchum teams, what we have here is decent enough, not to mention that Ash does exploit every one of these movesets in truly creative ways. So combined with a good team composition and the raw talent of the team's individual members, as well as solid coaching from Ashy Boy himself, this has been enough to drive the squad to the top of the World Championships. Indeed, in terms of achievements, there is simply no comparison between the achievements of the past and what the Journey Squad has managed to accomplish, regardless of how meaningful the accomplishments of past teams were at the time. Pushing Ash to the top of a 10,000 plus trainer competition, leading him to not just a victory over an Elite Four member for the very first time, but to victories over 3 champions on the road to the final, including the 3rd and 2nd best in the world. And most recently, toppling the world's top trainer to make Ash Ketchum the reigning world champion. It truly is like something born out of fan fiction. Of course, it is possible that one of his previous squads could have led him to the same results, but the facts are what the facts are, and the facts are that this team has the most star-studded achievements of any Ash Ketchum team to date. But how about you? What do you think of Ash's Pokemon Journey squad, and how does it stack up against teams of the past? I'm curious what you think, and as always, let's chat.